to our Cooking for Wellness with Central Ohio Urology group. We are thankful that you guys are able to join us tonight. Tonight in our kitchen, we have Chef Jason Johnson, and we have our dietitian Laurie Coleman with us. And I am Darlene. I'm the program manager here at Cancer Support Community Central Ohio. And tonight, Chef is making for you golden beet and peach soup with tarragon, seared salmon with strawberry basil relish, and hopefully everybody's had a chance to enjoy the chocolate mint fudge. If not, you're in for a treat. So, Chef, you are up.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. It's so good to see everyone tonight and to join us. As Darlene said, I know most of you are enjoying your treat, which we'll get to later and show you how we put it together and came up with it. But you get to kind of work backwards where you get the end product before you get to see it. So you'll have to let us know how you enjoyed it and how it was for you. And if you, now that you'll have the recipe, and if you would be able to try it, try making it at home. I love these dishes because they are right on time for spring, summer. We're entering into summer. I know by the weather you can't tell because all week we've had rain on, rain off, rain on, 30 degrees, 80 degrees. I don't know, but we are entering into summer. So these recipes are perfect to be able to utilize and to incorporate in your recipe repertoire. Some really, and they're very simple. They're very simple, really kind of all one note, but great flavors. Of course, like anything, what we do here is also healthy ingredients. But the key is that they're healthy without losing their ability to be delicious and enjoyable. So with that being said, this is a soup. And I know people are like, soup in the summer? Yes, you have a good either cold soup or a room temperature soup. So it's something really easy and good. We're using golden beets today. You know, you could do this with regular beets if you can't find golden beets, but I think the reason of using golden beets, this beautiful, bright, effervescent color that you're going to get with these golden beets, I think is going to steal the show than just your regular beets. So if you can find golden beets, definitely make sure you find golden beets because it's going to really give you some great flavor. And it's going to give you great color in this dish. I mean, you know, people don't understand. We eat with our eyes before we eat anything. And so the color on this is just going to be like, ooh, wow. Forget that it's beets. I remember growing up, I heard of beets. It was just like, oh, I'm not eating beets. Those were just for wiser, older people. So to be able to enjoy this, and we'll play off of it with the peach, the juice, and adding peaches in there. And I would even recommend, I know the recipe doesn't say it, but when you puree this up, add some of those peaches into the puree and get a little bit of those hints also to kind of balance some of the earthiness from the beets. Laurie, you know, like I was saying, a lot of people kind of shunned beets for a long time, but they hold really great value.
Oh yeah, yes, they do. So hi everybody. I'm sorry, I was my typical having trouble getting the sound and the video. So I'm here now. The beets, yeah, I love beets, and so I think it's great to find a way to incorporate them, but they might be considered an acquired taste. The good thing is, well, we're using golden beets tonight. The red beet and the golden beet are similar nutritionally, so really good source of fiber, really good source of folate. So that's a B vitamin involved in a bunch of things, but it's getting a lot of attention for its ability to prevent depressive symptoms. And again, I can't believe we're still talking about this, but with the pandemic, a lot of people are just kind of battling some minor depression or maybe for the first time or maybe continued. But having enough folate is a good thing. So beets provide 20% of the RDI in 1/2 cup serving for only 44 calories. So that's a great thing to include. They are similar nutritionally, like I said, to the red beet, but they're a little sweeter, just a little bit. So that you might find those preferable if you haven't been a beet fan in the past.
Right.
Okay. Good stuff.
And that's what I was going to say is that they do. That's why I should highly suggest, if you can find golden beets, to go ahead and do that, because it may kind of take that old mentality of, oh, beets are nasty, or they have, because they're earthy. They're a very earthy type of flavor, but these golden beets are a little bit sweeter, so they may be a little bit tolerable. If you notice, with these beets, I'm not throwing away the greens, what we call beet greens. If you've washed the beet and the tops of them, go ahead and cut those, but don't throw those away, because actually there's a lot of nutrients in the greens of the beets that you could chop up, maybe even add to some kale or so, and make a salad. So now you've made 2 dishes out of 1 ingredient. You're making a soup and you're making a salad out of these beet greens, so you don't waste them. You would just,
I like that. I like to use all of what I pay for. So that's a great suggestion.
yep. And then maybe add some citrus to this, and that'll how you'll see a lot of times with beets, you'll see like citrus or orange or grapefruit or something like that. So yeah, make you a salad with some of these beet greens, maybe some kale, add some goat cheese and some mandarins or some regular oranges. I like cara. I'm kind of a little prefer caras. I just like that nice little cherry kind of berry hint that caras have. But add that to this and have a really great, make a nice light vinaigrette, and you have a wonderful meal right there. So, but making the soup and making the greens of the soup. So I've put those beets in the oven. I've oiled them with a little oil and salt, and that's the key. If you wrap them in foil, the easiest thing is, I didn't peel the skin off of it, because it's actually easier if you roast them, and then the skin easily comes off. So if you try to peel them before, I mean, you can if you want to, or if you want to peel them prior and then dice them up and then roast them, maybe that makes it easier. But you can roast them off with a little salt, oil, and put them in that oven, wrap them in foil, and just really, really let them. And what that roasting is going to do is going to also release more of the sugars, the natural sugars of those beets. So we'll roast those off. So while those are roasting off, we're going to start on the next recipe, which is what you have tonight. So we'll come back to our soup, and we'll get started on our mint brownies with our secret ingredient. Don't tell anybody. Chickpeas. Okay.
I told everybody already. Because I wanted them to have realistic expectations of fudge. Is there any feedback? Did you guys try the fudge yet?
I did. It's very heavily delicious.
That finished better than I thought it might.
I almost forgot to turn on the cooking wellness Zoom when I had a little bite of it, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I have to sign up now, or else I will never get anything again later."
You mean it was so good, such a flavor sensation, that you lost sight of what your agenda was?
I really like it because it's not sweet. I mean, there is sweetness, but not very sweet. That's what I like in pastries or chocolate.
Yes, I would agree with you. It's not very sweet. And I think the fresh mint against the unsweetened cocoa is interesting. I think that's like, that might help the fact that it's not super sweet, is my guess.
Oh, is it mint? Wow. Mint?
Fresh mint. Yes, a half a cup.
There's just a little hint of it. I really didn't. It's not very strong.
Well, You could use, okay, so when I made it, I don't know what chef has decided, but I used vanilla extract instead of peppermint extract because of the fresh mint. But you could make it more minty for sure by using mint extract.
Yeah, because you can get only so much out of the mint leaves.
Yeah.
And you could even, yeah, I was gonna say, if you want to add a little extract, that's the only way you'll probably get a little bit more. And depending on the mint that you get, sometimes, depending how fresh or how not fresh your mint is, like the one that the leaves that I have here, I mean, literally, they're perfuming. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, all I smell is mint at this point. So they may be pretty potent, so you never know.
Right? That's the thing. That does make this dish have a variable that.
And then another thing is that this is a key that what you could do with this mint. What I'm doing is I'm going to rub it through my hand. So that's going to actually break and release some of the natural oils of that mint. So I'm just kind of gently rubbing it through my hands, and that helps to release the natural oils. So you may get a little bit more flavor that way too.
Are you using a dry mint or a fresh mint?
This is fresh mint. And I grew mint last year. Oh, goodness. When I tell you, I had it in a pot with my basil and thyme and oregano. And when I tell you that mint is invasive because it took over almost the whole pot.
It does take over.
So
that's why I don't grow it, because I feel bad pulling it up and throwing it out.
I mean, it came in handy, trust me, especially last summer. But it was just like, man, can this stop? I mean, it just literally started growing over into the thyme and over into the basil. And I was just like, oh, this is terrible.
That's why they don't recommend to grow mint in your yard, because it will, it will occupy the whole yard.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah,
if you have a neighbor who likes mint, you can plant it on your boundary, and then your neighbor can have some too.
Share, huh? Well, I just planted it in a pot. I had a large pot which I was planting herbs in, and what happened?
I put mine in the ground, but I took a 12-inch drainage tile and sunk it down into the ground and planted the mint in it. And that kept it from spreading everywhere.
That is brilliant.
You planted in what?
The drainage tiles, those clay drainage tiles.
Yeah.
Okay, so I used a 12-inch one. I dug down and put it in, and then put dirt and put the mint in there, and that kept it from getting out and going everywhere.
That's smart.
Yes, that's a good way to do it.
Now, there's several kinds of mint. So which one are you using? Which one did we use in a chocolate?
Holy peppermint.
Peppermint.
Oh, peppermint mint. Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Did that say spearmint on that box, Darlene? When we made it to, or Jason might know. He can look in the fridge.
The key in making this, of course, since you're using chickpeas, is to really puree this into it as smooth as you can, just so you can get as much of the texture out of it. Just like when you're making hummus. Another trick, and I'm not sure, and I think it should probably work with this. Even when I make hummus, if you want a creamy hummus, I roast my chickpeas.
Yeah.
So I roast my chickpeas. That allows any extra moisture to kind of come out. So when you get ready to blend them, they become a little bit creamier in that sense. So you could probably do that with this to make a nice, smoother textured fudge. And I heard everyone talk about how it wasn't as sweet or so. So Lori, what in your thoughts, I think, what is this? Is it a quarter cup of maple in
Yes.
this?
Yes.
So what do you think, like, what would happen if you, I mean, of course, not what would happen, we know, if you added a little bit more maple, or what if you added a touch of honey to kind
Yeah.
of bring a little bit of more out to it?
I think you could absolutely do that and be totally fine. I don't think it's going to affect the texture very much. What I found when I was making it is like it was creamy, but then when you add the cocoa, it really stiffens.
Yeah.
So you could adjust with more maple syrup, maybe a touch of honey. It might mean that you have to add a little more cocoa, but I think that would be fine. One thing I feel kind of like I didn't make note. What did you use? Mint leaves? Are they delineated between peppermint and spearmint?
No, they just mint.
Just mint. That's what I thought. The box just says mint, so I don't know. Honestly, did you buy the like clam pack of fresh leaves?
Yep. Yeah.
See.
I don't know if just when you see mint leaves, even the kind that you grow, if it's just automatically spearmint,
Yeah.
or unless it actually says peppermint.
I'm gonna.
It actually says like where I buy them, which it is. And then when you grow them, you can grow peppermint, you can grow spearmint, chocolate mint. There's a chocolate mint. I used to grow that.
And that is an option on this recipe, I noticed. And I had never heard of that. I thought maybe it was a typo, to be completely honest. I didn't know that
Well,
was.
my kids loved it. They would just go out to the herb garden. They knew which herbs they could just pull the leaves off of and eat. And
Okay.
they loved that chocolate mint.
That's awesome. I didn't even know.
I've actually had chocolate mint. I've purchased it before wherever you buy, herbs. You especially around this time of year, you go to Lowe's and Home Depot and all them that have all their herbs ready to purchase. You can usually find some chocolate mint.
Okay. I'm glad to know that.
Yeah, I just bought a plant. It just so happens that I had just bought a plant to plant, and mine just says sweet mint on the label. But yeah, they do. I mean, like the other lady said, I think, I have a thing of mint out in my garden now, but I've had it for years and it's gotten really woody. So I
Okay.
decided I'd plant a new plant, and this is what I found. And that's what I put in the brownies. I didn't have very much of it, so I did use the peppermint extract. So I made it too.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, the box that I bought just said mint, so I don't know. I guess maybe if you're buying, Kathy, like maybe do you buy yours at a specialty garden shop, or where do you buy that it's delineated?
Well, I buy it at the stores down here. I can find it. I'm in Florida. I can
Okay.
find it at Trader Joe's, and there's a
Oh.
place called Sprouts that I can get it at.
Okay.
I think Aldi has had it sometimes too.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna notice.
Package up where they have the parsley and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna make note of that. I haven't.
Like I said, if you even go to like Lowe's or Home Depot, they have all kinds of plant herbs and stuff like that, and plants. You can normally find. That's where I found some.
Mm.
But this is easy, get the point. All we do is put the chickpeas in and the maple, and I think you can adjust it as you choose while you're mixing it up. If you feel like it's not sweet enough, or if you're a person who likes it because it isn't sweet, then it's good. Or you can just add a little bit, a tad more of maple, or maybe add a little bit of honey if you want to bring out some of to balance some of that, the cocoa and the chickpea flavor. But ultimately, all that is you just add the coconut oil, the chickpeas, and your cocoa powder and the sweetener, and blending it all up. And have said, if you want a little bit of more mint, like I did, I rubbed it through my hands first, just to release some of those natural oils, and then chopped it up and put it in here and added it to the thing. If you really like spearmint, if you have some mint extract or spearmint extract, add, a drop or two, and that'll really. I used to make a chocolate flourless peppermint cake during the holidays. So, just a drop, a little go a long way of extract. So,
Paula said in the chat that she's purchased orange mint, lemon mint, and even apple mint.
apple
So-
mint.
Yeah. So we're learning all kinds of stuff tonight. I didn't know those were options.
What is
either.
apple? What is apple mint?
Oh no. Paula put it in the chat.
Laurie, I have a quick question about honey. I know that if you heat it, it loses its, good properties, the healthy parts of it. Will freezing change the healthy components of honey,
That's a
the
good question.
enzymes?
You know what? I don't know. Let me see.
That is a good question.
That is a great question. Let me see what Mr. Google says about that. I've never, okay, so honey never like goes bad, it doesn't spoil. So would you be just putting it in a product that you want to
Well,
freeze?
yeah, if we used it for this recipe and the recipe calls you to freeze the fudge,
Oh, okay, yeah. Good thinking. How to freeze honey. Close the honey jar bottle, complete so no air, check for spills, place your bag. Okay. It says nutrient content and flavor should not be affected.
awesome.
Yeah, so that's good.
Thank you.
That is
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. Hopefully we can trust this. Okay, yeah, it doesn't, there are no drawbacks as far as I can see. Yeah. It just, the only drawbacks that they're talking about is consistency, but if it's already in the product, that doesn't matter.
Right. All right. So we parchment. If you have a loaf pan, use a loaf pan or however you want, however thick you want your fudge. It's an interesting texture.
It is.
Looks like it's a no bake.
That's what it does look like.
It absolutely is a no bake. You just freeze it for a couple hours and then you can cut it and keep it in an airtight container. And I think the recipe says for up to 5 days or freeze it for up to 1 month. And what you guys got, I had sprinkled some shaved dark chocolate, some chopped pistachios, and a few, of course, you could tell fresh raspberries on there.
Ooh.
Oh no, we got fancy. Got the fancy.
Fancy. Fancy garnishing.
Yes.
So we're just spreading this on here. It spreads pretty good and trying to get it as a even layer as possible. I mean, it's fudge, so it didn't have to be perfect, but if you want it to, freeze good, you want it to kind of as even as you can in the layer. And then as Laurie said, freeze it. And then Merry Christmas. So this is good for, of course, the summer, nice little treat. But then come around to the holidays, when you're making treats and even gifts for people. This could be something you could do version to give out as or to add with gifts or so. It's a really simple fudge that you're able to make right in your food processor.
And I mean, like, we all can tell that it's not like a fudge that a traditional product that we are used to, but this is like off the charts better nutritionally. I mean, it's
Right.
got fiber, it's got protein, it's got antioxidants. It has absolutely no refined sugars. It is superior nutritionally. So if you enjoyed it at all, you're actually doing your body a favor by getting all those nice, like all the positives from the nutrition without any negatives. And if you could enjoy it, you would have to adjust your expectation. I'm fully aware,
Right.
but yeah, but it's so good for you. And it fits all of AICR's recommendations for cancer preventative diet. It's plant-based. We don't have any animal products, and we have a ton of antioxidants through the cocoa and the fresh mint. High in fiber, like I said, because of the chickpeas, high in medium chain triglycerides and lauric acid due to the coconut oil, and then minerals with the maple syrup. So all of that is really helpful in regards to nutrition.
But can we alternate? Can we alternate something with the the garbanzo? Can we do something else instead of garbanzo?
That's
Like
what I
what?
was
Like
going to ask, what you think black beans would do.
ooh,
Oh, that might work.
that actually might work, because I've, of course, seen people make brownies with black beans. So I don't say it would be any different with this.
That's all.
mean,
I mean, that's a good suggestion. I can't really think of anything, Irene, other than what Kathy said. So black beans, chickpeas.
Right, because I can't eat chickpeas, so I was thinking I would maybe try it with black beans.
Okay, that would work. I wonder, I don't know, Chef, what do you think about tofu? Like a firm tofu?
I
That might
can't
be
eat
weird.
tofu either.
So you said you can't have garbanzo beans, and I've actually never heard of that. What
I can't have most beans. I have food sensitivities. And the only beans I've been able to tolerate are black beans and adzuki beans.
Wow. Wonder what causes or what makes that the difference between those beans that
Yeah, that one is like an autoimmune, like the immunity.
Yeah.
They measure antibodies in regards to immune response. And I'm telling you, I've been looking at those for 20 years, and you cannot predict what you may not be tolerating. They're very interesting. I've had people not tolerate ginger. I've had people not tolerate cinnamon. So what the things like, there are 5 that are most prevalent. Of course, they're gluten, dairy, eggs, peanuts, and soy. But there are still those outliers of intolerance, and you could go for a long time with symptoms and not know what was actually causing the immune response. So
Yeah, it's a challenge. I mean, I had blood tests and came out highly sensitive to 75 different foods.
oh no,
Yeah,
that had to be overwhelming.
that was 20 years ago. And I went to this health food store and said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to eat. And there
Right.
was this woman there named Laurie. And
Mhm.
they hooked me up with her, and she took me around the store, showed me like egg replacer and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, how appropriate that her name is Glory.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Somebody was there to help.
Yes.
That's
wow. All right, so I've gotten my beets out here, and they're nice and softened, and they smell great. I mean, you can smell the earthiness in them. Because they're beets, but really great. And like we said, they'll have a nice little sweetness to them. So like I mentioned to you, like I'm able to easily peel off the skin that way. Then I'm just going to break these down a little bit so that I can put them in the blender. But once, like we said, really simple soup. but just something different than your average soup, a really nice summer soup.
So, Chef, why are you peeling the beets?
I actually could put and I'm only doing this for texture purposes of the soup, but
Okay,
I could leave the skin on like we've been talking about for a lot of things. A lot of nutrients are usually in the skin.
right. Kathy was wondering if there was a purpose, and I get it. It'll be smoother without the peel or the skin.
Yeah, that's
And then, I'm sorry. In the chat, Susan's also saying with the fudge, butter beans might work, being that they're pretty bland and neutral. So
oh,
you could certainly try it.
butter beans.
Mhm. I love butter beans. Yeah, I'm strange though. We all know this.
So yeah, I'm just taking the skin off, like I said, just for texture purposes of this soup. But you know, if you were using this for anything else, or if texture wouldn't be an issue for you, keep the skin on.
Yeah.
They're a little hot.
Yeah. I was like, that's pretty skillful there. I would be going, ow, ow.
I mean, I'm used to it, and thank goodness for these great nitrile. That's why I like nitrile gloves, because they are a little thicker than the average gloves. So, all right. So we're going to add in. So we got our beets in there. We're going to add in. I actually don't have, what is it supposed to be? White grape peach. This is a white cranberry peach juice.
Okay.
Add that. And I'm going to add a little bit of my tarragon in. I know the recipe is talking about as garnish, but I think the really way to get the full essence of it is to add it in with the soup. And you know, tarragon gets a bad rap just as much as black licorice because, I mean, they're reminiscent of each other. But that's what tarragon really kind of has, that anise flavor. So a lot of times people shy away from it because it reminds them of black licorice, that anise flavor. But it really, you know, depending on what it is. So you have this earthiness of the beets. It really go good. You'll see a lot of dishes. Even in like hollandaise, you'll see it in egg dishes. It goes really good with that. So, you know, you have to give tarragon goes good with seafood like lobster and things like that. I just made a lobster bisque and had some fresh tarragon with it. So you have to give it a chance when doing that. So we're gonna add. We already have salt on the beans. We're gonna add a little apple cider vinegar. And then a little honey. Oh. And then we'll blend. You know what I'm going to do, Laurie?
What?
I'm going to add some of this peach.
Good idea.
I'm going to add a little bit of the peach to the soup, as well as it be a garnish.
It's going to be sweet.
What's that?
It's going to be sweet. So
Not too sweet, because the beets, like I said, they're sweet, but they're not that sweet. And the peach, depending on how ripe or so it is, and this one isn't that ripe. So
right, but there was a liquid that you put in there.
the
Combination of peach and cranberry. Was that the one?
is
Yes.
a white cranberry peach.
Right. Those are sweet.
Yes. Yes. It's
So it will
definitely
turn
not a
out sweet.
savory soup.
Sweet
All right.
soup.
Which
Sweet soup, right? It's good to set your taste buds accordingly.
Now you can also use the red, right? But then your soup will be red.
Correct. And it would make them less sweet with the red.
But I think they really taste differently.
Yeah, and it's really just a take on a borscht. You may have heard of a borscht soup, which is a beet soup. So that really is all this is. We're just using a different color soup. So nice and smooth. So this is nice and smooth. Got the texture we want. Yes, this color is phenomenal.
Ooh, yellow.
Yeah,
Yum,
I
yum.
Yeah,
think that's
so it's a really
appetizing.
great color. It just screams summer, 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 summertime. So you can put it down, or you can have it room temperature. Let's see. We have a bowl here. So you can take it and refrigerate it. You know,
Can
my
you
beet.
add butternut squash with that?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
I love the color of this. This really is exciting me. And there's probably some psychology that's to this in the color, the yellow color.
What does yellow mean? What is yellow supposed to do? Is it energizing?
It must, because this just excited me.
Let's see. That's what people say about that. Happy, it's associated with happiness and sunshine.
See?
And it's the most energizing of the warm colors. So there you have that.
So it made me warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah.
See? So that's why this is a great spring summer soup. I'm just going to take a dollop of Greek yogurt, and then we'll add in, garnish with some more tarragon.
Have you tasted a mushroom marinated with a vinegar tarragon?
Mushroom?
Mhm.
No. I haven't.
Marinated in a tarragon, vinegar tarragon. Very good.
I've never tried that. Sounds good.
Yeah, I could definitely imagine that.
Well, because they said it's not the word marinated, but like sauerkraut, they
Fermented.
fermented, exactly, that's the
Yeah.
word. That fermented foods or fermented items have high probiotic.
Yes, that is true. I've never had a, I guess, fermented mushroom though.
You can make it.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying I've never had it. That would be pretty good. I like
It's
mushroom.
yummy. You usually they serve that with like the appetizers with the cheese and crackers and that sort of thing. That's how I was introduced with that.
All right, our last recipe, but certainly not least. Always want a wonderful, any time of the year ingredient, but really great for the summer, because the thing about this is you can cook this, of course, on the stove, but you can grill this. So this would be great application. We're talking about summer, so this would be something you could definitely make on the grill. You can make ahead of time for if you're having any friends or family over. You grill your salmon off, you make this salsa up, and it screams nothing but summer and freshness and vibrancy. So, it'd be great. You can serve it with a couscous, serve it for a dinner with some cauliflower rice. There's a lot of different things you could do with this. or just serve it with some vegetables like some asparagus or something like that, or some broccolini. It'd be really, really great, easy, simple dish. That'll go a long way. A lot of times people, and I hear this all the time when it comes to cooking salmon, either people are intimidated by it, or when, how, is it done? When should I turn it? All this kind of thing. I'll say this. We have this obsession, first of all, with letting the food do what it does. When doing any fish, the best thing to do is to make sure that you've, in a sense, kind of dried it off, so that you've taken a paper towel and made sure that there's no moisture on the exterior. So I've already done that, where I've blotted the salmon on both sides to make sure there was no extra moisture. And then now I have some oil in the pan, but I'm just going to drizzle just a tad bit on the fish itself, because then when it meets the oil in the pan, then it definitely won't stick. And also the seasoning that I'm going to put on it, I want the seasoning that I'm putting on it to adhere. So that's why I'm adding just a small drizzle on the fish. We're going to add a little bit of sea salt.
Yeah.
And a little bit of black pepper. Now, if you want to add like some garlic, you have some granulated garlic or something like that, feel free. Rule of thumb is not only is your pan hot, but you want to make sure the oil in your pan is also hot. And you want to keep your heat on what I call like a medium. You don't want it too low, but you don't want it too high, because I don't want this to char as soon as I put it in there. But I want to hear that sizzle as soon as I put this in there. And I'm going to put it in skin side up. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to go ahead and lock in on this side. I want to lock in a lot of the moisture. I want to lock in the flavor, all that. So I'm going to do what I call flesh side down in the pan. And just kind of take it. What you want to hear.
And we do like salmon. Salmon is a cold water fattier fish, so it's a good source of omega-3s, which is an essential fatty acid that's associated with all kinds of protective action. If you didn't want to use salmon, you could use cod or trout or tuna. Yeah. All of those are cold water fatty fish that are good sources of omega-3s.
How about barramundi fish?
I love barramundi.
Yeah, I think that would be good too.
Yeah, it says here it has an excellent source of all natural lean protein. It has one of the highest omega-3 levels of any white fish.
Nice.
It's free from mercury and other contaminants. Potassium is 550 milligrams. Calcium is 13 milligrams. Vitamin D is 15 microgram.
Okay.
It tastes like sea bass.
Yeah.
The consistency also is like sea bass.
Yep.
I think that would be
it's a nice firm fish, a nice white fish. It really takes on whatever flavors that you pair it with. So I really like barramundi, one of my favorite fish, other than mahi-mahi. So I'm just taking these strawberries here and just dicing them up. Slices, and then dice it, slice it and dice it. Now we're going to add fresh basil to this, but let me tell you a little trick or tip. If you have any of that leftover mint from your fudge, add a little bit of mint into this too. So basil and mint will go good together with these strawberries. So my fish, you notice I have not touched it. Now I can see from the sides how it's cooking up and it's creating what we call that crust on the bottom. And that's where I was saying that a lot of times we get antsy and we want to keep looking at it, keep trying to pull it up. There are proteins that are in, you know, fish, chicken breast, anything like that, steak. And the thing is you have to wait until those have reacted and they are ready to release. If I was to try to pull this and it wasn't, see it easily gave. So we have a nice crust on the outside of that. If I was to go try to lift this up and it didn't lift, telling me, hey, I'm not done yet. See that side, that one's not done because it didn't want to, it didn't want to release. So I'm going to let it kind of hang out. And a lot of people don't know this, but you can cook a piece of salmon just like you do a steak. So you can cook salmon and have salmon at a medium. So we got our diced strawberries. We'll take some of our basil. And if you have some red onions hanging around, chop up some red onions.
Yeah.
And add some diced red onions to this. And I say red onions because they're a little sweeter than, of course, your regular white onions. They're not as pungent. So a little red onion, plus that red onion gives it some nice color. So we have our basil. And I just happen to have a little sprig of mint left. So I'm going to chiffonade it and add it in there. And then we're going to just add a little bit of touch of honey just for sweetness, and then it'll kind of bind it all together also. Now, if you have some lemon juice or like that, an acid, that definitely also would be good, or lime juice. Yes. So now I've turned them both over. Skin nice and crispy. And that's why I said it's also important to make sure that both sides you have dried with a paper towel, any moisture, because now when we flip that over in that skin side, it's going to now get a nice crispness on that skin. Now, of course, you can get salmon skinless. I will say this, go try this out at the store. If you were to look at go to your seafood counter and you were going to get salmon, there's a price difference. So if you got the skin on salmon, it's going to actually be cost you a little bit less than if you got some with the skin off. Because just like anything else, the work has been done for you. So the one with the skin off is going to cost you a little more. So if you're trying to be cost effective when buying salmon, go ahead and the skin on. It's not going to hurt you. Money. And I always like skin on salmon because, like I said, it helps them lock in a lot of the. They're almost kind of a.
I noticed you don't put a lid on.
And then when it actually easy, you just eat it and save the skin. I mean, you can actually eat the skin.
Right.
Chef Anne is asking what the difference in regards to tunas, what's different from ahi, and why is that one they usually served rare?
Saying the difference in ahi compared to
other tunas, like I guess like when I think about that, it's bluefin or yellowfin.
bluefin and yellowfin. I really, honestly, Anne, can't tell you why. That's even something I'd have to look as far as why most of your ahi is you can serve it rare.
I looked it up a little bit here. It just said ahi tuna is a type of tuna that is divided into two different species, yellowfin and big eye. It says it's often cheaper than bluefin tuna with a very similar flavor profile and texture, and you can find it usually frozen. It says because of the mercury levels, it's best to eat raw tuna in moderation. And if you're going to eat it raw, you want sushi grade ahi. So I guess it just depends on the grading.
And Laurie, when I did a search, I found that it says generally ahi tuna is served rare because of the texture and taste is much better than a cooked piece of ahi tuna, which struggles to keep in moisture.
Oh, okay. There we go. So-
There's a restaurant at Kingsdale called Houlihan's that has an ahi tuna salad, and I've had it, I believe, medium or medium rare, and it's just delicious.
Okay.
Yeah, because anything above that, when it comes to tuna, it's like, yeah.
And I believe you said one of the types is yellowfin. I've seen yellowfin on menus for sushi,
Yeah,
but it doesn't say ahi, it says yellowfin.
because it's a type of ahi.
Okay.
Jason, why don't you put a lid on?
I could, but a lot of times either people will put this in the oven at this time. Actually, my salmon is done, so I don't even have to, I've turned the fire off. I can tell because when I go to touch it, it doesn't spring back. It's nice and firm. That's the thing. A lot of times people overcook salmon. That first side, 3 minutes, and then once I turn it over, about another 2 minutes, depending on how thick your salmon fillet is. It doesn't really take that long, because before I flipped it over, it was already cooked about almost at the halfway mark. I could tell on the side it was already, in a sense, almost cooked halfway. So we get a plate.
So, and also in regards to eating the skin, that's where the fat is, like the right under the, what do you call them? Scales would be a layer of fat. So that's where a lot of those omega-3s that we're talking about, that's where they would be. And so like even if you don't want to eat the scales, you want to go real close to it. You want to go down to where that part of the salmon is almost gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the fattiest part of the fillet, and that will be the highest concentration of omega-3s.
So would you call that a beneficial fat then?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Plus, it's super flavorful. I mean, you know, fat does a lot for flavor.
That's what we learned in culinary school. Fat equals food.
Right? Our perception, like the way it hits our tongue and everything, we love it. We think things are good when they're fatty.
So you got beet greens. Just squeeze some lemon over those beet greens. A little bit of salt. I'm treating this like kale because they are green. A little bit of lemon juice. Put those on here, and our salmon's going to rest on these beet greens. We'll take our salsa, our strawberry salsa. Voila. This is a great lunch.
That is impressive plating.
Yeah,
Looks good.
look how colorful.
Right? I know, it's beautiful. We
Like
don't
Christmas
even have-
color,
Yeah. We don't even have a close-up yet.
green and red and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a picture. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. What time should I be there?
Sorry, that wasn't in your little brown paper bags today.
Yeah, that looks wonderful.
Oh, my.
That
You
would
should
have
take
been
a
nice.
picture of that.
Mhm.
So
That's beautiful.
a really great, simple here would be a great or a nice dinner out on the patio. You have your salmon with the strawberry salsa on the beet greens, and then you have your beet peach soup. I mean, that's a great lunch.
You need
I
a
mean,
glass of wine with that.
There, I mean, there you go.
That is,
You know what I would charge for this meal right here?
Do you take credit cards?
Hey, I take all forms of payment as long as it goes through. And that's it. I mean, very simple. And then you have your fudge, your mint fudge as a nice after dinner dessert to tie it up, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. So these are nice, like I said, 3 nice simple recipes.
Laurie, it looked like you had a helper there.
I did.
Yeah.
He was wanting to check out the salmon.
Yeah, me too.
That's one of my kids both love seafood, so they get interested
That's
in
good.
that.
Hey, they know exactly what they're doing then. I
Yeah,
love seafood too.
yeah, I'm grateful because that means I can keep it in the rotation recipe wise, and everybody's happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah. Any
So-
questions tonight on any of the recipes? These are easy. You don't even have to be a chef, but you can do these easily at home, duplicate them. As always, you can always add, your own touch and flares to these things, but try them out the way that we've shown you and see what you think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you, Chef. That was a great demonstration.
Yes, thank
Yes, it
you.
was.
And the dessert is wonderful.
Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you.
good. I'm glad you like it.
Thanks to Laurie's skills.
I like that the mint is mild rather than strong in it too. It's just a
Good,
little bit of a
very good.
surprise of an added flavor. Um,